Okay, hey guys, so this is notes that you're going to take. It is still February 1st, but this is stuff that we will need for February 2nd. When you come in on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about these vocabulary words. So, first thing is, my first word is a relation. And this is going to be one of those times when you are going to have to pause that video because you're going to be writing a lot more than I am. So you're going to want to pause this video and you're going to want to get some caught up on some of the writing, and then you'll just play it some more. First word is relation. A relation is a set of coordinates. Okay, so just like I'm going to move this out some. You can see more on the screen. So, for example, let's say, remember the braces, that's our set, right? When I put something inside of braces, we call it a set. That's from way back years and years and years ago, like 4th and 5th grade. All right, so if I have a set of coordinates, let's say 2 or 3, negative 2, 4, 7, 9. There's my set of coordinates. We call that set of coordinates a relation. Okay? The domain. Here's my second vocab word. The domain. The domain is the set of all x coordinates. So if this is my relation right here, and my domain is the set of all x coordinates, then my domain is going to be the 2, the negative 2, and the 7, right? Domain, set of all x coordinates. And then if I have the range, my third vocabulary word, that is the set of all y coordinates. So my range, your domain is x, and your range is y. So your range is going to be the 3, the 4, and the 9. Okay? Just vocabulary words. Don't be looking for something to solve right now. Another word we have for the x coordinate is independent. Remember, we talked today about y being a function of x. Another way of saying that is y is going to be dependent on x. So that makes x my independent, and the dependent is the same as all y values. What's that other word for my x? Domain. And that other word for my y is range. Okay, a relation is a function. Remember, we got that word today. Function. For each x value, there is exactly one y value. So I can't have an x matched up with a 2 and a x matched up with a 3. I've got to have everyone just gets one y value. Each value in the domain of a function is called an input, and a corresponding value of the range is called the output. All right, and you've done that with the tables. Remember, in, pattern out, right? All right, so my x coordinate is the x values and the domain and the independent and the input. So there's 4 things. I call that x coordinate. X, independent, domain, and input. And there's 4 things I'm going to call that y coordinate. My y, my range, my dependent, and my output. Okay, now just one more thing on this part here. A relation is a function. For each x value, there is exactly one y value. What is that saying, guys? X does not repeat. Okay, the x does not repeat. All right, so let's look at that in terms of some problems. So here is my set of coordinates. Remember, what do we call this set of coordinates? It's missing a set thing. This set of coordinates is called the relation. Okay? Domain is the set of all x's. So I'm going to use my set notation. I'm going to go -2, 0, 4, and -2. So I don't have to write it twice. That -2 shows up twice. So I'm only going to write it once. -2, 0, and 4. So that's my set for my domain. What's my set for my range? My set for my range, remember, is your y coordinates. And that's going to be the 0, the 3, the -7, and the -1. And I'm going to write that from least to greatest. So my -7 is the smallest. My -1, then I have 0 and 3. And that's my set. That's my range. X coordinates, y coordinates. Now let me ask you, does this relation here qualify as being called a function? No, this relation is not a function. Why? Because remember we said x does not repeat. Well, what happened right here? I had an x that's a -2 and another x that's a -2 here. So my x did repeat. -2 is paired up with a 0, and -2 is paired up with a -1. And remember, a relation is a function if each x value, there is exactly one y value. Well, in this relation, this -2 has 2 different y's. So the -2 is repeating, so it is not a function. Okay, let's look at it again over here on a table. Domain is my x, so -4, -1, 2, and 3. Range is my y, so -5, 1, 8. Again, that 1 showed up twice, so I don't have to write it twice, just one time. Now, is this a function? Look at your x's. Do any of those numbers show up more than once? No. So since all of these got their own y, -4 has a 1, -1 has a -5, 2 has an 8, 3 has a 1. None of these ended up repeating x, so I get to say yes, it's a function. Okay? All right, so I'm going to put the next 3 problems into Edpuzzle for you to answer. You're going to have to tell me domain, range, and function. Okay? Domain, range, and function. Domain, range, and function. Okay? All right. So now you've done those. I hope you got them right. Let's see. Domain, remember, is my x. So who are my x's? -5, 0, 0, and 3. And I only have to write that 0 one time. So the set of -5, 0, and 3. Okay, range is my y's. So I'm going to use 0, 1, 4, and -7. Those are my range. So I'm going to say the set of -7, 0, 1, and, whoop, I missed my 1. 1 and 4. Oh, see, Miss Graham got caught. This is where we should be writing with a pencil so we can erase. All right, look at your x's. -5, 0, 0, 3. Is it a function? No. Not a function. The 0 repeats. Okay? Since this 0 showed up twice, that means I have 0, 1 and 0, 4. One x had 2 different y's, and you can only have one. Okay, on here, looking at my table. Hope you get these right. So my domain is my x's. This is my domain. This is my range. So I have domain, -1, 1, 2, 6. Did any of them repeat? No. So my answer is yes. And honestly, that's the hardest part about domain and range. You look to see if they repeated. If the answer is no, then yes, it's a function. If the answer is yes, it repeats, then the answer is no, it's not a function. So it's really kind of backwards. All right, what about my range? 1, 3, 8, 3. Range is my set of y's. I don't have to write that 3 but one time. So 1, 3, and 8. Okay. All right. How about this one? Last one. Domain. -1, 0, 3, and 3. -1, 0, and 3. Now I don't have to write this 3 twice, just one time. Range. -3, -2, 0, and 1. If you notice, I always write them out from least to greatest. Guys, I'm not going to count it wrong if you don't, but it's a good way to make sure that you don't miss a number. If you miss a number, you're going to get it wrong. All right, look at my range. Look at my domain. Look at my x's. Do any of them repeat? Yes. The 3's repeat. So you know what? This is not a function because you have 3, 0 and 3, 1. That x has 2 y's, and the x is only to have 1 y if it is a function. All right, so sometimes I'm going to not give you a relation. Sometimes I'm not going to give you a set of coordinates, but a graph. So how can you tell? What is an easy way of telling if I have a function when I have a graph to look at? Well, it's called the vertical line test. Okay? This test helps you to know a relation is a function by looking to see if any vertical line drawn does not intersect the graph at more than one point. Why? If it intersects more than one point, then you have more than one x. Each x value is paired with only one y. Keyword, one. So if I look at this graph right here, and I know you've had to pause several times now to get all this down. If I look at this graph right here, anytime I draw a vertical line on this graph, will I touch more than any of those points at the same time? No. All of my x's are different. Since all of my x's are different, this is a function. But what if I did look at 7 here?
Christian Mistretta, please come to the office. Christian Mistretta, please come to the office.
All right, look at 7. If I draw a line here, I only tap 1. But when I draw a line here, I'm actually intersecting 2 coordinates. So this is the same x. This x and this x are the same. So that repeats. So it is not a function. Not a function. Okay? All right, what about here? Now, they don't give me just any points, but if I ran this vertical line across this graph, I mean, there's an infinite number of times when I'm going to touch that graph in more than one place at the same time. So that means that this x and this x are the same number. So that x repeats, and it is not a function. Okay? What if I ran that vertical line across this one? Would I touch that graph at the same spot anytime? More than once? No. My x is continuously changing. My line is never going to touch more than one point on that graph at any given time. So that means that this is yes. It's a function. Okay, guys, so that's the notes for this one. I know that was kind of quick. I know you had to do several pauses to get them. I'm going to go ahead and come out and give you a place. All right, there's a look at your vocabulary words. Pause for a little bit on that if you need to catch up. Example 1, 2. Pause that video. This was your questions. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, vocab on that vertical line test. And tell you what, if you don't understand what I explained on here, guys, honestly, the best thing to do is hit that YouTube and find out more videos that talk about the vertical line test. You'll get some animated stuff that'll be really good. All right, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. I hope you took good notes and you did well on your questions.